Welcome to Rob Nagy's Rock and Roll Legacy. For more than 4 decades as a freelance music journalist, I had the honor and the privilege of interviewing countless music icons in the world of rock and roll, jazz, R&B, and blues. It was a priceless journey that began in my late teens. I never imagined I would cross paths with many of my music heroes. Digging deep into my archives, I selected an interview I conducted with rock icon David Crosby in 1994. Which I hope will be a memorable journey for you, the listener, and preserve his legacy for future generations. A legend in his own time, Crosby rose to international prominence as a member of the Byrds and Crosby, Stills and Nash. An outspoken advocate for political change, the anti-war movement, and social equality, Crosby was a powerful voice for the youth of America. Merging elements of rock and roll, folk, and psychedelic influences, Crosby was an important contributor to the California sound of the 1960s and 70s. A co-founding member of the Byrds and Crosby, Stills and Nash, and later with Neil Young, they would collectively sell more than 35 million records. Their appearance at the 1969 Woodstock Music and Arts Festival, their second live performance as a group, laid the foundation for their historic career. They won a Grammy for Best New Artist that same year. Releasing 8 solo albums throughout his career, culminating with his critically acclaimed band CPR, Crosby solidified his standing as one of rock and roll's most diverse and skilled singer-songwriters. He wrote the Crosby, Stills and Nash classics Deja Vu, Guinevere, Long Time Gone, Delta, and Wooden Ships, which he co-wrote with Paul Kantner of the Jefferson Airplane. The Byrds were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1991, and Crosby, Stills and Nash in 1997. Crosby released his final studio album, For Free, in 2021. Crosby's highly publicized troubles with the criminal justice system, a result of multiple arrests for possession of drugs, weapons, and drunk driving charges, were as much a part of his legend as his music. In 1985, his personal life and his career came to an abrupt halt when he was sentenced to 9 months in a Texas state prison for repeated drug and weapons charges. Battling severe health issues resulting from his decades of alcohol and drug abuse, Crosby faced a terminal medical diagnosis. A liver transplant in 1994 saved his life. Crosby recorded and performed for nearly 3 more decades. David Crosby died in Southern California in 2023 at the age of 81. What you are about to hear is an unscripted, never-before-broadcast interview I conducted with Crosby in 1994. For your listening pleasure, I give you the late David Crosby.
Okay, it's out here in the middle of the cornfields in southern Illinois, and this is fine.
Well, I'd like to start off, you guys are in your 25th year. What does it feel like for you to be in a band that's been around that long and that, you know, is coming into its 25th year? What does that mean to you?
Not a hell of a lot.
No?
No, it's been pretty, continual thing all the way down the line, and it's like if you don't see a kid for a year or two, you really notice how they've grown. But if you see the kid every day, you don't really notice.
Right.
Well, it's kind of like that being in this band. I've been doing it every year, except for the year I was in prison. I have been doing it every year, pretty much all the way down the line, and it just feels like the natural thing to be doing,
Mm-hmm. How's the tour going so far? You're pretty early into it at this point.
No, we've been out here for a month or so. It's going extremely well. The best part being that we've got a whole bunch of new songs that we're doing, and the audience seems to be really loving them. That's the real berries. The second best thing is that we've been selling out places and going into percentages and doing extremely good business in a year that we thought everybody was going to be out and the business would be very slim. So.
Well, that's probably due to the fact too that you guys, you're such a mainstay at this point. It's, you think of Crosby, Stills and Nash, you guys are basically legends at this point. Do you consider yourself of legendary status?
No, not really.
No?
We try not to look at it that way, man. It's not an extremely healthy thing to do, to look at yourself as a legend. You wind up standing there saying, gosh, I'm significant.
Right.
And it doesn't, help. It's not exactly a healthy attitude to take.
Yeah, I agree. Are there any plans that that Neil Young may be joining with you guys, maybe to do some isolated shows, isolated dates here or there?
Not that I know about. We do get together from time to time when we really want to bring on the horsepower for something special, usually a benefit or something that really matters to us. One of the bridge concerts, for Neil, or the concert that we did for Bill Graham's wake, or something like that. We do get together and do them, but generally no. We don't need each other, commercially, to be a success. And Neil really loves working by himself, pretty much, I think, more than anything else. Personally, I love the guy a tremendous amount. I would love to work with him, whenever I get the chance. And if the chance presents itself, I will jump at it.
Right.
But there's no real pressure there to put it together.
Now, when you recorded your current album, were there any other notable musicians that you brought in to record the album with, or was it basically Crosby, Stills and Nash and your usual array of musicians that you work with?
It was some of the same people that you would expect to see. Mike Finnegan, who has worked with us continually for 15 years or so.
Keyboard player?
Yeah, keyboard player, singer, stunner, great guy. We worked with a lot of the usual people that we really like a lot. The thing that was quite unusual was we worked with a producer this time, which we have never done before. But there was this one guy that all of us had a tremendous amount of respect for, Glenn Johns, and we wanted to try it and see how it worked out. And we think it worked out fabulously well, because he's an enormously talented man. Of course, I'm sure that you probably know the list of, great records this guy made.
Oh, sure.
But it worked out very well. We were extremely happy with it.
How different is it for you guys working in the studio? You said you hadn't worked with a producer before. What does that eliminate stress or pressure for you guys, that you can concentrate more on the music? What is it like working with a producer like that?
Well, it was a good focal point. We hadn't been in the studio together in a while, 2-3 years, and because of course we don't have any real pressure on us to come out with an album every year or anything, and he managed to focus us in a very good way, and to be a very good catalyst for the process. I was extremely happy with his effect. It was sort of my idea to do it, and I was extremely happy about it.
You said it was your idea to do it. Your idea to bring him on, or to do the record?
Well, I had just gotten through working with him on some stuff for my solo record. This last one that I did, that had the single on it with Phil Collins.
Right.
Glenn had worked on 2 or 3 tracks on that with me, and I went to the other guys and I said, listen, there's something you might want to try here that I tried that I really liked a lot, so.
How did your record do, by the way? I enjoyed a number of the cuts that I heard off it, and I know it got some exposure on the radio and MTV. Did it do well?
It did quite well. I was really surprised. I think it had a lot, of course, to do with Phil.
Well, that never hurts, I guess.
No, I guess not. But it seemed to do very well. It got very good reviews, and it sold quite well, and I was extremely happy with it.
Do you have any idea of doing another solo album down the road, do you think?
Yeah, I have one already cut.
Do you really? Any idea when you'd release that?
After this Crosby, Stills and Nash record. It's a live album called It's All Coming Back to Me Now. And I think it's the best live performance work I've ever managed to get, ever.
Well, that's a great feeling to have. That's a terrific feeling to have. How'd you get hooked up with Phil? Did you know Phil before? Or?
He asked me to come and sing on his record, on the one before this last one, the single "Another Day in Paradise."
Yes.
Well, I was the other voice on that.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, I didn't know that.
And also on another song on there called "That's Just the Way It Is." And
Mm-hmm.
in the course of doing that, we wound up being friends, and we are probably going to be friends a long time.
Yeah.
We like each other a lot.
Well, he seems like a very likable person.
Oh, he's a great guy.
And I've had the pleasure of meeting you a couple times. I'm sure you'd know me if you saw me, but you don't maybe know the name. But we have met a few times. I know Graham, and we usually come and see your show when you come to Philadelphia, which of course we'll hopefully do this time around as well.
Oh, please do, man, because there's so much new stuff in here. It's like I'm going to see a new band.
Yeah. Well, I know we saw.
Half of the show is new material.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's always nice to see that, because we've seen you probably the last 4 years you've been to Philadelphia, and I know the last couple times you and Graham came, or the last time you and Graham came, and then several years back when you had your, I don't recall the title of the album, my memory is just not serving me right now, but it was the last tour you had done as Crosby, Stills, and Nash, to my knowledge. And I know with a full band, which I'm assuming you have a full band on this tour again as well.
Yeah, we do. We've got Finnegan, and we've got Glenn Johns' son, Ethan Johns.
Mm-hmm.
We've got playing drums and guitar. We've got another drummer who's doubling on drums and percussion named Jody Cortez, who is my favorite guy. And we've got a bass player named Alexis Sklorevsky. And we are kicking butt.
Yeah, well, that's great, because I know you...
Put it modestly.
No, that's fine.
Humble little devil.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Hey, you've done a lot of good work. You deserve to pat yourself on the back once in a while, no question. How did you get hooked up with Fleetwood Mac? I mean, how did they end up getting involved with the tour with you? And is there anybody, I mean, aside of Mick Fleetwood, is he the only one left in the band at this point, or?
No. John McVie is in there, and our old friend David Mason is in there.
Oh, is he really?
Becca Bramlett, Bonnie Bramlett's daughter, is in there, who we also know.
Right.
The way it worked out is we were shopping around for bands, that we could, team up with, there was some resistance, to Fleetwood, based on the fact, of it being, largely new personnel, and we listened to them,
Mm-hmm.
and they kicked our butt.
Did they really?
They were just excellent.
Uh-huh.
And we said, we don't care.
Right. Right.
The music is music.
Uh-huh.
It's either there or it isn't.
Sure.
And when you listen to them play, the music is undeniable.
Are they doing all the hits?
They're doing lots of hits.
Uh-huh.
Tons of hits. It's not like they don't have a ton to do.
No, that's true. That's
and they
true.
got them. And David Mason and Becca Bramlett are doing, most of the singing,
Mm-hmm.
and they are just incredible.
Is that Dave Mason of Traffic fame?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah.
I've met David a couple
He's an
times.
old and very dear friend of ours. And they are excellent. The package just sells like crazy. I can't tell you the numbers, man, but I don't know how everybody else is doing out here this summer, but we're doing real well.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You guys deserve it. You really do, because you're one of my personal favorites. And
thanks, man.
I know it's a tough summer to tour because everybody and their brother's on the road at this point.
Well, that's what we were worried about. We said, good Lord, the Eagles are out there, or all these other big bands are out there. It's going to be very slim pickings, and it hasn't been. We've been just packing it.
Mm-hmm. Are you doing mostly venues like the Mann Music Center size in Philadelphia?
Yeah, shed.
Uh-huh. And do you prefer those over the large arenas? Or do you like them all, basically?
We prefer the sheds probably over everything. They're the most flexible.
Uh-huh.
They're the nicest. The audiences like them the best.
And that, you guys call those a shed? Is that what you refer to them as?
That's what everybody does.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's a new one for me, so I've learned something new today then. I also noticed you're still on Atlantic Records, and you've been on Atlantic from day one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. The only other record company, I've been on a couple of record companies. I was on Columbia with the Byrds,
Mm-hmm.
and I was on A&M for one solo record.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of the time, my whole career, I've been on Atlantic.
Because that in itself, to me, from my experience, I mean, that's amazing to be with a label, particularly this day and age, that long. I mean, it's obviously been a good relationship for you guys.
Yeah, they've done very well for us. We have a long and very, good friendship with Ahmet Ertegun,
Mm-hmm.
and we also became very good friends with Doug Morris, and we are. I am and have been for a while a close friend of Danny Goldberg's.
Mm-hmm.
So we feel very good about our relationship there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to say it's very stable if you've been with them that long. You're also going to be doing the 25th anniversary of Woodstock coming up.
Yep.
What does that mean to you? I mean, can you put into words what 25th anniversary concert of something that basically was the world's exposure to Crosby, Stills and Nash as a band?
Well, it's a very strange thing. When you look at the list of people that are playing on it, it looks to me like musically it's going to be an incredible event. I think, if you go there thinking that it's going to be like the first one, I think you're fooling yourself. Because this one is, being run by corporate America, and it's a different deal. That was, a step outside of the establishment by a considerable stride. This one is not. But music is magical stuff, and it has the power to transcend, and I think it may very well transcend the corporate image and call forth a very magical experience for people. I know the list of people that are playing on there is pretty damn strong.
Yeah, it's a pretty impressive list, and it seems to be growing by the day.
It's very magical mixture of people on there, man, and very eclectic and very unusual. I'm planning on staying the whole weekend and listening to every damn thing. So.
Well, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I mean, it's the next anniversary is a long way off, and who knows what's going to be happening at that time. This is the 125th anniversary, that you can all experience. What's it like for you? And I hate to throw a question at you that probably a million people have asked you. Is it still? I'm sure when you first went out on stage, when you started out performing, it was a magical feeling. Is it still magical for you to walk out on stage every night?
Oh yeah. It's the most fun I know how to have with my clothes on. It's absolutely wonderful. They don't pay me to play; they pay me to travel. I couldn't possibly imagine having more fun, which you'll be able to tell when you come see us.
Sure. Well, I've been able to tell that every time I've seen you, because I know that the other guys, Graham and Steven are popular as well with the fans, but you always seem to, at least in my opinion, you always seem to draw the loudest response when you introduce each other, to the crowd. And you also seem to be a particular favorite of the ladies. I mean, that's something that. Well, I don't know. I've seen you backstage a few times, and you've just been mobbed by girls. I know backstage. I mean, is that something you just have that magnetism? I guess that that people gravitate towards you. Well, you're a very likable person, and I know on stage you having gone through what you've gone through, you've had to deal with a lot of different situations.
I do have a lot of support, from people who love to see the underdog make it. There's a tremendous amount of that, and it's been incredibly helpful to me. The feeling of support, was very important to me when I was trying to put my act back together again. It really mattered a lot, and I will always be grateful for it.
I did read your book, by the way. And I have to tell you, I was captivated by it. I could have read it again very easily if I didn't have a stack of books that I need to get through following that. But I really, really enjoyed the book, and I really felt like I almost lived your life by reading it.
Well, thanks, man.
Was the book received well? I mean, did the book do well?
Very well. It went in paperback and everything. I was extremely happy about it.
Was it difficult for you to write the book?
some parts, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, some parts were very tough. Sometimes we would get up from the table and I would just say, look, I got to stop for a minute. This is really too intense.
Yeah.
Because I made a lot of mistakes there, man, and it was not easy to look at them all honestly and learn from them and deal with it all. It was if you really are trying to be honest with it and really look at it, it can be a hell of a thing to look over that kind of life.
And I imagine that there are aspects, because I have been very close to people that have been in the same situation. I imagine there are times that you're still dealing with it, sometimes on a daily basis.
Well, I have help on a daily basis too, though. See,
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. I got that old one day at a time job going.
Right.
And that works.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff really, really works.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say it enough times. I can't say it strongly enough. It works.
Yeah.
12-step programs work. If you're willing to put the time in and work them, they will save your life.
Well, you have to believe in yourself, and obviously you do. You've developed that confidence, and it certainly doesn't hurt, I don't think, to be a performer and going out on stage, because when you're feeling kind of down, a particular day, I imagine it's kind of nice to walk out onto a stage and get the response that you usually get. I mean, that has to help.
It does. It makes you feel great.
Well, where are you guys going at this point? I mean, once the tour is done, you had mentioned that you're planning on releasing a live album after that. Do you have plans down the road of you guys doing more album projects and continuing to tour? I mean, where do you see Crosby, Stills and Nash heading after this summer?
Just more of the same, man. The Muse has been very kind to us, and we have a lot of songs. And I personally am going to take some time off, go sailing, and put this live album out. And then I will probably do some work solo with my own band. And then I would expect to see us back in the studio again next year, because we had, all of us, a really great time doing it this time.
Right.
At a certain point in your life, man, making a bunch of money off it or being a success off it or not just isn't enough. It has to really be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And this time it really was fun. So I think you're likely to see us out there just jumping right back in again.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any plans of touring as a solo artist at all when you're solo up?
Yeah, I probably will this winter. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's great. Where would you like to see? Where do you see Crosby, Stills and Nash in the the scheme of music? I mean, where would you see Crosby, Stills and Nash to be placed musically? I mean, you have the Beatles and you have a number of these other terrific groups. Where do you see you guys being placed?
I don't try to see what our niche in historical perspective is. I do see us being one of the ones that always stuck up for songs being the thing, for the singer-songwriter ethic, for writing songs that were really about something and that made you feel something, and for sticking to that. Mm-hmm. And then trying to apply the best craft to those songs that we could, make tracks that really swung and do harmonies and vocals to them that were fascinating and would entrance you, but if there's any central issue to our music, it's that the songs have got to be there, and that's what I think we are about, and I think it's what we will continue to be about.
Is there anything that you would like to add, that you'd like people to know about you or Crosby, Stills and Nash that we haven't really gone over?
Only just that if you come to see us this summer, you're going to see what almost amounts to a brand new band because of all the new material, and that we've been getting standing ovations for brand new songs. So I think people are really loving them, and I think that if you come out and see us, you're going to be surprised and thrilled.
Oh, I'm sure we will. One question that I did want to ask you, that I was just double checking my notes. What in your opinion, what is your most shining moment, personally and professionally? What are the two, if you can do that for me, if you can single out?
Well, I can't single out one, man. I really can't. There's been so many times, I just can't I couldn't do it. It's
Mhm.
like asking me what's my favorite song or who's my favorite child. I just can't do it.
Yeah, well, that's fine. That's fine. You're being honest. Well, listen, it was a pleasure speaking with you, and I wish you the best of luck. And tell Graham that I said hello. He should know who I am. We have spoken, a number of times, and I will look forward to seeing you guys when you come to Philadelphia. I'll make sure you get a copy of this, and I'll be sure to come back and say hello.
Thanks.
I wish you the best.
All right.
Thank you, David.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I was admittedly apprehensive prior to conducting my first and only interview with Crosby. I was not sure what to expect. I was pleasantly surprised by his upbeat, accommodating, and appreciative demeanor. The further we got into our conversation, the more animated and enthusiastic he became. He consistently downplayed his iconic status, focusing on the music and his passion for playing to a live, appreciative audience. Thank you for taking a walk with me down memory lane. I look forward to our time together next week when I present an interview I conducted with jazz guitar legend Larry Coryell in 1995. Until next time, peace, serenity, and blessings.